Ready to soundtrack your summer? With Red Bull Summer All Day Play, you choose a playlist that fits your summer vibe the best. Are you a festival fanatic, a deep end DJ, a road dog, or a trail mixer? Just add a song to your chosen playlist and put your summer on track. Red Bull Summer All Day Play. Red Bull gives you wings. Visit redbull.com/brightsummer ahead to learn more. See you this summer.
And action! Hello and welcome to the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking,
from indie films to studio films and
everything in between.
How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to
royally F them up.
In our very, very humble opinion. I am Giles Alderson, and who might you be?
Dom Lenoir?
Is that a question?
It might be.
Today it might be.
Not sure who I am.
You've been moving house,
yes,
which is always fun. We're both writer, director, and producers, and today on the show we have Wicked Little Letters director Thea Sha and the writer Johnny Sweet. Dom, what will our lovely listeners learn from today's episode?
Well, it's a very sweet episode. Bad jokes they'll learn probably. What will they learn? They will learn about how Johnny started up his own production company with Joe Thomas and how that helped him get his foot into the door, working with StudioCanal, his beginnings in comedy and how he sort of ended up into film, which is a really fascinating story actually about how he ended up where he is, working with A-list actors. Yes, and Thea's journey from theatre is fascinating, and all the tips and tricks that she learnt from that background and how she sort of implemented it into making top-end dramas and comedies, and all the things she learnt along the way.
Incredible. This episode obviously is mainly about Wicked Little Letters, which Johnny Sweet wrote and Thea Sha directed. This was produced by Graham Broadbent, Olivia Colman, Peter Shersnin, Ed Sinclair, and Joe Wallet. The cinematographer was Ben Davis, and the casting director was Gina J. Now, the cast of this movie, I mentioned Olivia Colman there as one of the producers. She stars in this as Edith Swan, alongside Jessie Buckley as Rose Gooding. And what's the best way to describe this film, Dom?
A very potty-mouthed... that's probably the main... That's probably the main point, actually.
Yeah, very potty-mouthed.
Just a very potty-mouthed. It's a potty-mouthed wild ride about Jessie Buckley, who is falsely accused of writing very naughty letters to Olivia Colman's character. And the even more fascinating thing is that it's based on a true story, which is just absolutely bonkers. And so is the film. It's very funny and very, very lively and very enjoyable.
The film is now in cinemas. Wicked Little Letters. You'll have seen it advertised. Go see it. It's a lot of fun. So how are you, Dom? We mentioned there you've moving house. I was with you today. It was a treat. Packing up your big screen, your microphones, your podcast stuff. Yeah, your mattress.
It's not a small screen, is it? Let's be honest.
It's massive screen. It was very delicate, and we had to fit it in the back of a van that was full of stuff.
Yes.
But we did it, and we went to a tip today as well, didn't we?
Yes.
Dropped stuff off.
Shout out to Jack Till there on the who hires out film vehicles, which is one of the ones we borrowed.
There you go. Lovely shout out to him. Speaking of shout outs, Wicked Little Letters also stars Timothy Spall, who stars in Boland Shoes, which is Terry Dwyer's latest movie that Ian Paulson Davies directed. And they've both been on the podcast to talk about that film. It is fantastic. I'm shouting out again because they are fantastic people and they deserve it. And Boland Shoes will be released everywhere on the 18th of March. In a couple of weeks, Boland Shoes will be everywhere.
And you'll be bowling away.
You will be, so do go support when that is out.
And your film's out as well, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, it is. Old Town, Aren't We? My documentary that I produced, Jack Spring directed, is out now on Prime. We're very excited by that. So you don't just have to like football to like this documentary. It really is a fairy tale sporting story I'm delighted to say it is now on Prime after its sellout cinema run.
You can also like Towns or Aren't We?
Indeed. It's called All Town, Aren't We? It is about Grimsby Town FC's fairy tale ride into the EFL, the English Football League. And they beat Ryan Reynolds' Wrexham along the way. And Ryan Reynolds is in our documentary.
Take that, Ryan.
Take that, Ryan.
Take that on losing the game and being in the documentary.
Yeah, exactly. They got promoted the following year, so fair play to them. But if you like that kind of stuff, that documentary, please watch it. Please support.
Disclaimer: we love Ryan.
I actually do. Yeah, thanks, Ryan. You're amazing. Yeah, how cool is that, by the way? Hollywood superstar in our documentary. There we go. But this is all Jack Spring's amazing work, so do go support. The soundtrack is incredible as well. And if you do like it, go on Amazon and give it a star rating, and the same on IMDb. Makes a big difference, I promise you.
Ideally a star rating above 5.
Yes, above 5.
You could do 6.
Please don't. Please just go
What are you hoping for? Like a 7?
8.
A 9?
Yeah, 9. Why not? It's beautiful.
Why not?
There were tears at the premiere. Tears.
Yeah.
Grown men crying at the cinema screen. Based on football.
Happy crying, sad crying.
Absolutely happy.
Tears of boredom.
Tears of emotional joy, Dom. Are you aware of those? Okay, good.
Yes.
So, Wicked Little Letters. This is Dom's chat with Thea Sha and Johnny Sweet. As Dom has mentioned, Thea has absolutely come from...
Theatre, was that?
Theatre.
It's in the name.
Come from theatre. She made the movies The One and Only Ivan, The Hollow Crown and Me Before You, and her latest movie is out in a couple of weeks as well, which is The Beautiful Game, all about the homeless World Cup, talking of football movies.
Oh, yes, I saw that. I was like, that's outrageous. You just made a film, Thea. Slow down.
How dare she? She also has directed episodes of Britannia, Call the Midwife on TV, as well as The Hollow Crown. Whereas Johnny Sweet, well, he starred in a lot of TV and film. Johnny Sweet was in Johnny English. Sweet of him. He was also in Chickens, which he wrote and created, which was with Simon Bird. And
he played a chicken?
He didn't, but it is about chickens.
He was in Greed.
He was also in I Hate You, Urban Myths, and the Sky comedy Christmas Shorts, as well as Loaded and Gap Year, which he wrote. Right, let's get to the episode. Here it is. Dom chatting to Johnny Sweet and Thea Sha, all about Wicked Little Letters.
The mystery of the obscene little Hampton letters is causing widespread distress across the nation.
Holy heavens. Carry on. Dear Edith, you foxy ass old whore.
In the end, I think it's just jealousy.
Do you feel certain Rose Gooding's guilty?
I can't see why they think it's me.
I'm on the verge of making history here.
I was a bit roisterous once or twice.
This time you owned up to these letters.
Rose Gooding, who allegedly harassed a pretty young Christian woman.
What's the evidence?
Similarities in the language.
I think you've been set up, Rose. Is there anyone who'd want to do such a thing?
Have you got a pen and paper?
I like you, Rose, and I'd like to bring you to the light.
Why would I send a letter when I can just say it?
I'm not standing for it.
We'll catch them in the act.
I noticed they say foxy ass a lot. Nobody swears like that.
What would you say?
You look like Queen Victoria shoved up her.
You daft old...
Hello, how are you doing? Hi. Nice to see you. Long time, really good.
Hey, nice to meet you, Dom.
Johnny. Oh, absolutely fantastic.
Hello. So, welcome to the... Do you want to pour some water? Do you want me to pour some water?
Well, I'm just slightly struggling with only having 2 hands.
2 hands right and now. One on a mic, yeah. I'm starting off with giving you an impossible task of
So look, we've achieved it.
Filling your water.
Couldn't be more real. Thank you so much.
So, yeah, welcome to the Filmmakers Podcast,
Pleasure to be here.
Extreme well done on the film.
Bless your heart. Thank you.
We were in a screening room the other day, and about half the audience were in raucous laughter. The other half were sort of doing the serious journalist thing where they weren't giving anything away. But the other
I see.
half,
I thought you were going to say basically half were having a good time and the rest were wishing they were somewhere else. No, you mean there was serious work going on and other people who were letting go and just enjoying themselves.
Exactly.
Fabulous.
Yes.
And you were in the second.
Or maybe there were people enjoying the drama. Those half,
Let's
and then the other
hope.
half from the comedy side.
God knows there's some drama in there.
They were. I was just
right, sweet.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, there is some drama.
There is some drama and some comedy.
And there is some comedy as well.
Yes.
It's a mixture.
Yes. No, I was just saying the screening room was full of laughter, which is always a nice thing to sort of see. Let's start with how you're feeling about the film, though. How are you both doing? Are you excited?
Doing really well.
Doing good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, excited. It's always slightly nerve-wracking when it goes out. But it's nice having people see the trailer in cinemas. I haven't actually done that. Have you seen it in a real cinema?
I actually haven't, but
No.
I've had so many pleasurable messages from mates, which has been great.
Yeah.
Because I sort of forget about that. If you're not there,
I know.
and again, like when you do a play, for example, most people either tell you in advance, you know where it's happening. I know that sounds really silly, but
Yeah, I
by and
know.
large, it only happens in one or two places at the same time.
And trailers are best.
Trailers can be everywhere.
This is true. Do you try and switch off and not focus too much on the review side of things and just enjoy the ride, or is it in the back of your mind like, well,
I think it's important not to care too much about reviews.
Yes.
When I did comedy when I was starting out,
Back when you were funny.
yeah, when I was actually funny and I was great back then actually, I would wear a review sort of on my soul for about a year if it was bad.
Wow.
And or at least like a couple of months. And I would remember quotes. Michael Portillo lookalike Sweet was one particularly bad one when I was about 18.
Okay, well, that's quite a
that's
quite a comparison.
If you had good ones.
No, they obviously
Did
they
they
mean
stick?
nothing. No.
Yeah, me neither.
No. So you do get better at, I do think you get better at
Handling that side of it.
yeah, and also I just read so many reviews of films that I disagree with, or at least that I read an array of them and I think, I can see every point of view roughly, but my experience was specific. And so, you just have to kind of wear it lightly.
Well, I mean, my perspective on reviews especially is that a lot of the time it's whether you connect with something, and there can be these very intellectual, scientific reviews of something, and it could be like a very heavy drama about a really important subject that someone reads and they get a really important cathartic reaction out of. So how is that review correct? It's
Exactly.
Maybe they didn't enjoy it, but if it connects with someone, that's really I find it an incredibly important thing.
Yeah, I also think it's about process. I increasingly I sort of think what you spend doing every day is the most important thing. And with this, it was just quite pleasurable. And writing it was fun, and researching it was fun, and making it, Thea made it an enjoyable experience, I have to say. Sorry to say that.
Yeah, that really hurt.
Was that
you should have been working as hard.
Was that sigh meaning that you didn't necessarily have such a?
It's very hard work.
It is
very
hard
difficult
work.
personalities. I don't want to start slagging off Jesse and Olivia,
some of the better known people, but
very violent behind the scenes. Olivia Colman. No, it was, but that does become more important. I think sort of it's your work, so you need to kind of make sure it's not all about the result.
Yes.
About
do you mean the work in the process, as in what you are choosing to put into it, as opposed to the reaction?
Exactly.
In essence, which is other people's opinions, which you
can't control those things.
You
but
can't
you can
control them.
Work environment.
It's funny because by the same token, I always say, we don't. I at least don't make movies for myself. I'm constantly thinking about the audience all the time.
Sure.
In the process of it, having said that, for me, when I'm working with the writer's the most important person because it's their idea. I come from theatre. The writer is the most important person in the room. And then it becomes the actors. As soon as the actors are cast and on board, for me, it's all about them because ultimately they are the ones who have to perform it in front of a camera, which is, I'm never going to do that. Johnny's not going to do that. And so then it becomes a three-way process. And then as you get closer and the job gets bigger and so the DP comes on board, suddenly the lighting is really important and which direction you're facing and all of these things, as well as you've still got to remember that the actor is really important, that the words are the right thing, so there's all of that. But ultimately, as a director, you never ever forget that what your aim is, which is to get the best you can possibly get on film in order that you can put it together as one piece of storytelling for an audience.
But there's obviously something in there that's also got to connect with you for you to be...
Oh, 100%. I can't do it if it's not for me.
Sure.
But sorry, the distinction I'm trying to draw is how present the audience is in my mind at all times.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've had endless conversations, Johnny and I, about whether something is funny, why it's funny, who it's funny for, all of that kind of thing. And when it matters... Yeah. Whether everybody's going to get it, whether two people are going to get it, whether only the actor wants it and they get it and we get it and that's enough. What I mean, the distinction I'm trying to draw is between my sense of an audience, which is ever present, and a reviewer.
Yes.
Whom I never think about once. And I think about less and less as it goes on. Because firstly, when you get a bad review, it's incredibly painful. It's that feeling never, ever goes away, that you read in black and white or you hear somebody saying, you know, absolutely tearing apart.
Often with a comedy line that just summarizes your film in sort of in some kind of fallacy.
And it takes them what feels like no time at all.
Yeah.
And we've spent a minimum of a year of our lives, often more, putting something
like 2,
together.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And
that's hard. That's really, really hard.
Yeah.
But that's also to do with, you know, how you handle that growing up. It's a big part of how you balance as an artist going back in to do it again. All I can say is having kids helps a lot, because you find yourself giving them wise words, and sometimes you find yourself going, well, hang on, I could heed this myself, and it's going to make things a lot
also,
easier.
you don't have time to think about
what's really important.
Yeah.
And that's why then, but that goes, for me, that goes the good reviews as long as the bad. As in, I don't read any of them anymore.
Yeah. You have to take, totally.
Yeah. So let's go back to the opposite end of the spectrum of where you where this all began. How did you two meet? How did this project sort of get its initial conception?
Yeah. Well, I stumbled across the story it was a long time ago, and I was immediately sort of thrilled and excited about it. And I pitched it to Nicola Schindler at StudioCanal, who has since left StudioCanal.
Okay.
Who is an amazing producer and person.
How did you build that relationship? Because people want to know this on the podcast. Right. Like, you know, how do you build these decent relationships? I know, just to interject.
I waited outside her house. We'll post the address on the comments section. No, I started a production company with my friend Simon Bird.
Yeah.
And we got StudioCanal to invest in it. And as part of that, Nicola Schindler was on our board of directors. The board, I don't think, ever sat.
Yeah.
Kind of form.
A standing board.
Yeah, standing board. And so we built a relationship like that. And we had a first look deal.
Okay.
It's great to go into these are real industry details.
Well, let's go even further.
Okay.
How did you convince, what was the process of building this production company and getting someone like her involved? Because I mean, it's a big company. To get someone on a sort of first look basis, it's quite a feat.
Yeah. So I think it was essentially because of Simon Bird.
Yeah.
Because he was in the In-Betweeners, and
sure.
They thought, wrongly in the end, that we would produce lots of TV for Simon to be in.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
And we always wanted to make other sorts of things, and we made a few things. We made Jamie Dimitriou's his Netflix special and things like that. But Simon and I are really interested in film. We're looking for film ideas, and coincidentally, Nicola then began at StudioCanal in the UK arm of StudioCanal Film.
Yes. Yeah.
So that was it, and I developed a few things with her for TV, and
sure.
So she's amazing, and she nurtures new writers and new talent, and really got on. I don't think, but I do. This might be wrong, but I do think when I pitched her the film idea, I'd made a couple of sitcoms, but I hadn't written a film, and she said she liked the idea, and she said, "Who's going to write it?" And I really remember feeling sick. And I said, my voice all broke. I said, I am. And then the other memorable thing that happened in that pitch.
Did she laugh?
No, she didn't laugh, but I do think she sort of really professionally nodded, but in silence for a bit, as if to say, "Okay, all right, okay."
Also feeling anxious.
Exactly, and then we were talking about it and about some minor issues she had in changes, and basically anything she said, I sort of said, "Oh, absolutely, I'll do." I was basically saying, "I'll do whatever you want to do."
Yeah.
And I do remember her saying, "Okay, don't be too desperate," which was like a low point in a pitch if someone's asking you to be too desperate. So then we developed it, and she then sold Red and left StudioCanal. So then for a while it was in a strange sort of limbo, I think, a little bit. Well, I actually think that Nicola had got in touch with Olivia.
Okay.
Because she was, Olivia and Jessie were always the people who I
envisioned.
So Nicola, since Olivia got South of the River on board, and then we were just looking for the perfect director.
Okay.
At which point I switch to Thea.
Another knowing
and we
slide.
couldn't find, no.
That's what I was waiting for the gag. Come on, that was such a setup.
I know, it was too,
inevitable.
It was beneath us too.
Inevitable gag. Just before we get on to your obviously very vital role, I just wanted to go back to the development process. Just quickly to sort of nail those nuggets. Like what's the process for first drafts?
Yeah.
What were the kind of ways that the notes were coming in?
Yeah.
How was your adaptation process? And then I promise we'll get on to directing stuff as well.
Yeah. It was the first film I had written, so it was I was really, really trying to work out how it would all work, and mainly weirdly structure and length. I felt that it was a very complicated story. The truth of it, there are lots of court cases. They were very strange. Jessie's character Rose actually lived in a kind of bizarre menage a trois where she had a couple of kids, and her sister lived with her, but her sister's kid might also have been Bill's, and it felt like that was a fairly complicated knot to tell in a feature of relationships. So, and that was the first couple of drafts were me trying to pin down how to tell it in 90 to 100 pages, to be honest. And also there was the story's insane, obviously, and it's
he says really straight face.
It's completely insane. It's
bonkers.
It's insane, but it's real, and it's more insane than it ended up in the film. And that was something we really were trying to wrestle with, because the ending, there's a kind of sting at the end, which is all completely true, but weirdly, that was not spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, yeah.
Yeah, it was not.
They should have watched the film if they're listening to this.
It's weird if they listen to this, they haven't seen the film. But in actual fact, the sting at the end was executed by the secret agents of the post office. The post office had a band of secret agents.
They could have done with this PR about a month ago.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, true, actually. No, they need them back. They were founded in about 1500 by Henry VIII.
Wow.
And they were secret agents who worked for the Crown and for the post office. And they were the ones who hid inside post boxes. Wow. And they were the ones who had periscopes looking over hedges. The periscopes were deemed too silly for this.
Wow.
Which is funny given how silly the film is.
Yes.
But that was at an earlier stage. And it felt wrong because it's a film about sort of the subjugation of women by men for men to come in and sort of tidy it up at the end.
Yeah.
So there are lots of things like that. And I felt that once I kind of understood how the beats of the film would work and how the structure would work, I could work properly on character. And I think it took a while. It took a long time to feel like I got everything nailed down. But there was a draft where I felt that really Edith and Rose were there now, and the film kind of worked. But it took 3 or 4 goes with lots of cut kind of sections and weird things that just didn't fit in the end.
Fantastic. So you at this point get the script or are approached about the project. What's your kind of first thoughts evaluating a new project, considering whether you want to do it, where the script's at, where the team's at, those kind of questions? I
was actually in post on another film and was sent it by StudioCanal, whom I've had various sort of meetings with before, but never worked with before, saying, we have a new project. We think the script is not only great, but we think it's very close. And Olivia Colman is attached. And we have to go at in these dates.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because Olivia was not only attached, but she had kept this particular time frame free, which doesn't always happen. And so I knew that there was going to be something special about this, because for Olivia to be holding that time is something. Timing for me was okay, but not great. But so they said, can we send you the script? And I said, yes. So they sent it to me and I read it immediately. There was no mention of this being a true story at this stage.
Oh, wow.
Right,
Yeah.
really?
So I thought it was just bonkers. And I immediately, for me, the question was the tone of the movie. So I called StudioCanal, Joe at StudioCanal.
As you do.
As you do. And said, okay, I've read it. I've got a load of questions. Give me a bit more info. And in terms of a director's schedule, the timing was quite tight it wasn't too tight, but it was quite tight in terms of finishing the film I was on, but then also having enough time to prep before we had to go into the shooting time.
How long are we talking, if you don't mind saying?
So basically we needed to shoot in the autumn so we had to finish shooting by the end of the year. So working backwards, you also need, ideally, you want about 3 months prep.
Yeah.
So, and this was, I think it was sort of late spring, coming into early summer.
Yeah, so right on the sort of border of having enough prep time, basically.
Basically. And I thought at that stage probably about a minimum of post on the other film. So I spoke to Joe and got a bit more info. And that's when I learned more about Johnny, whom I didn't know beforehand. And I realized it was based on a true story, and that Olivia really was attached, and that these were the dates and this was why she wasn't available after that, blah, 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 blah. So it was a window. And the first thing I knew that was going to be the most important thing for me, outside of, firstly, I had to meet Johnny, because particularly in that sort of time frame, if you're going to do any work on a script, which you always do, if you get on with the writer, it's a very different scenario to if you don't, in all seriousness, because as it then proved with us, you're then left alone for a chunk of time. The machine gets going, and there's lots of other decisions to be made of heads of department and casting, and all of that gets going. But creatively, at the center of it is just you, and it was just the two of us.
Yeah.
Also, you then, as you get closer and closer, lots of people have lots of opinions. So we would keep producing drafts going, we think this is now there. And various people have their opinions, and we respect all of those. And we are the kind of people that we would we always sat together and went through these notes and discussed what we agreed with, we took the process very seriously, because I think that's kind of what we're like. And I think certainly because of my theatre background, my approach to the script is different maybe than other film directors. I'm always looking forward in terms of how something's going to look and how it's going to feel the minute you give it to an actor. But equally, I'm always looking backwards in terms of where the writer's idea first came from and what it is that we have to preserve. And you cannot throw babies out with bathwater, which happens, in my view, very often. Very, very often, yeah.
I mean, I suppose those are the two stumbling blocks that happen a lot of the time, is that maybe the writer has different taste to you.
Yeah.
So you're fighting an uphill battle because they like this kind of tone of thing, and maybe it's a bit more serious, or vice versa. And then the other thing is, it's changing a script and going off in a tangent because of a note, and then someone else gives you a note and it throws it off in another tangent, and you're not sending it in the same direction that it's always been trying to sail.
If the two of you are pretty much in the same place, it makes that journey much easier. What's really difficult is if you suddenly find yourself feeling that for you, the story you want to tell is actually starting to look quite different to the one that the writer was originally wanting to tell. That's really complicated. It's really complicated. And from my point of view, I always want to surround myself by the people I trust the most. So the next thing for me was who the hands-on producers were going to be.
Okay.
And crucially, the film that I was finishing was a film for Blueprint with Graham Broadbent as the producer. And I spoke to Johnny and to StudioCanal, who worked with Blueprint several times. And I said, because of the status of the other film, which wasn't yet finished, and I knew I was going to need a bit of help to try and balance the two.
Yes.
Graham, for me, was absolutely the right person, and Blueprint as a company. So that was the next person I went to.
Okay.
And that made all the difference in the world for me.
Just before we get on to Blueprint and the producer stuff, because all this script stuff is fascinating.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you worked together, what the differences maybe were in terms of where you were interested in tweaking the script versus where it was when you sort of came on board. And then maybe...
It's a lot of broken furniture.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's awkward, isn't it?
Yeah. Still the scars remain. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I seem to remember, but you may disagree, that from memory, it was fairly immediate. The sense that we both had, broadly the same approach to how the script should be.
Okay.
Executed, and that was a kind of tonal thing that we weren't trying to sort of make the world look silly, and we weren't trying to get the actors to do really big, crazy performances. It was all
had to be grounded
in a certain level of reality because everything was so crazy going around it. So that was fairly instant. And then I think it was managing the fact, I think, that it's a very difficult story actually to tell in some ways, especially because Olivia's character is very complicated. And on top of that, there were lots and lots of people involved. And that was a new experience for me.
Do you mean in the story, or you mean in the process?
In the creative process. Because there were probably 5 distinct
bigwigs and
institutions.
Yes.
Each with about 3 people with slightly different opinions.
Wow.
Probably. Blueprint StudioCanal film for South of the River.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So notes sort of flying in like missiles.
Yeah, and all fantastic. I mean, the people involved. I mean, I was constantly saying, Thea and I were constantly saying, "God, they're all so good." And that is true as well. Everyone was so sensitive and intelligent with their noting. But
and this may make us sound really stupid, but genuinely, we'd get notes and go, "I think all of these are really good." And often within the notes, they would be disagreeing with each other.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show, how that we genuinely felt they were really, really good notes, but also that the project itself, that just shows tonally that you could go different ways.
Yes.
And that some people put up really good reasons for why we should push slightly more in a certain way, and other people were feeling the exact opposite.
Yeah.
And both were completely valid.
Yeah.
And so that it would come down to us. I genuinely never felt bullied in any way.
Oh, definitely not.
It was completely collaborative.
It was very nurturing. Yeah,
it really
was amazing. Yeah, it was amazing. But it was challenging because clearly it's a film that is quite. And I think that more and more the further I get from the film, it's incredibly unwieldy and incredibly. It's a real challenge to pick a way through a lot of those decisions actually, and you can't. It's difficult to get all of them right, but I feel like we had a fairly firm hand on the tiller most of the time.
Yeah, no. And from my point of view, it made a huge difference that I wasn't making those decisions by myself, because to have a sounding board to go, but
that really helps.
This is really good. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's, I mean, it's just worth everything.
Sounding boards are incredibly important, even if you're writing on your own, just to have someone who you can bounce ideas off.
One of the things that I purposefully did not do was read any of the original stuff that inspired the story.
Okay.
And the more I hear Johnny talk now again about how complicated it all was and how much there was, what I didn't want to do is suddenly, A, he covered that between the two of us, and B, that's not the story that I'm telling. That's not the story that I have to shoot. And so it was really important to me to make sure that the story that we were choosing to tell was a collective piece of entertainment, and not a documentary that had to have all the right signposts. And so I also wanted to be somebody that Johnny could say, yeah, but originally this is really what happened. And I could say, that's actually really vital that goes in, or say, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
That's what happened in the real thing, but for us, that's going to complicate things in a way that's not right.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that I deliberately did, so that we were coming from different places on that. And I wanted to give him the freedom to let go of the history if that didn't feel right for our version of it.
There was one detail that kept I can't remember who it was, but someone kept. There are a few details that are very juicy, and very very sort of potent in storytelling terms. That just didn't make the film, but that kept cropping up. I mean, there are so many of them, and it also that sort of dovetail with the confusion about, is it a mystery or not? And Thea and I always sort of ended on the sense of we're not too worried about this being a who done it. That didn't really, the more you invested in that it took away from other reserves of power in the story.
Yeah,
it was always so. But that was another avenue we then explored. And do we want to create more mystery and uncertainty about this? But actually, when you did that, it took something away from the film as well. So
I mean, was it difficult to? I mean, you mentioned Olivia's character, because Jessie Buckley's character, extremely likable, incredibly good actress. I mean, she's got the kind of the fighting and the story. It's a sort of a slam dunk in terms of being on site. Olivia's character, you're sort of placed in between these two things. That on the one hand, she's doing these awful things, and then on the other hand, she's being horribly oppressed by an evil father, basically, and is having all this kind of trauma put on board of her. And obviously there's the motivations that are in sort of stuck into that mix as well. So I mean, how did you approach that? Because it seems like a really complicated thing to have to deal with.
It was, and I think a big part of our approach to it working was to have Olivia Colman as the actor. Because
she's so empatheticable. Is that a word?
She's
a word.
Yeah, she's empatheticable, and she's also. I think one thing we found ourselves doing quite a bit on set was watching the scene and then Thea and I huddling over the script and crossing out lots of things, because Olivia can, as Jessie can, convey very sort of complicated emotions just immediately. And don't you think that we found that some of those things, as long as Olivia felt that she understood and felt that she had a track through it, then it would work.
For me, again, I didn't know Olivia at all before the project, but to read the script, even from the very first time with her in mind, made an enormous difference, because she's utterly extraordinary at what she does and how she does it, and what comes with seemingly almost no effort with her is, honestly, it's a real privilege to watch and to be around. And her process and how she prepares herself to be on set and carry a scene, either by herself or with 20 other people, is remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. She never seems to ask anything of anybody else. She never, ever imposes any sense of how things have to be. She is the first person to simply go with the flow. If she has any concerns, she will have asked me privately beforehand. So you never get any awkwardness or difficulty on set. At the same time, she will take every single note she's given. And if she doesn't understand something that I've asked for, she'll ask again, in a way that makes it incredibly easy to work with, makes her incredibly, but also the atmosphere incredibly easy to work in, because she is so hugely respected. She steps on stage. Everybody knows that she's there, but that's because of everybody else, not her, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
And equally, she completely understood that the tone of this piece was going to only be achieved in the edit, right? Which is a lot later than the moment you're shooting. And so when I said to her, can we make sure we get a range so that come later on, if I need you to be in a slightly different frame of mind in this moment, I've got it. She never, ever questioned that. She never said no. She never said no to anything. That's the amazing thing about Olivia. So, I mean, that's an incredible place to start with, is that your leading lady behaves in such a way.
Yeah, sure.
And as I say, comes not only so fully prepared, but is ready to do things she'll give you the entire rainbow of choices, which is extraordinary.
Yeah. So if you had any advice maybe to give to yourselves starting off in the industry, I mean, maybe trying to break into making your first feature film or getting that first break, some kind of tips you might be able to give yourself back?
I do have one piece of advice, actually, if you need a moment.
Have you got a piece of advice for me?
For my not for you.
Yeah, sure.
I'm so looking forward to that.
Drop the act, Thea. No.
Be nice to people.
Mine weirdly to my, if you know, this film, to be honest, when I wrote it, I was slightly, I felt like I'd been writing things for a while that would do me some good and that I ought to be writing, which were kind of sitcoms and things like that. And this was just something that really excited me.
Okay.
And when I read it, I was chomping at the bit. And I think that's probably, I actually think that you should only write stuff if you feel like that about it. And I definitely got into it for about a year, maybe more. I'd got into a kind of development hamster wheel.
Yes.
Where I was just doing the notes and developing stuff without really any particular passion, but doing it in a way that I thought was professional and kind of workmanlike.
Yeah.
So you dropped all of that.
Drive.
So I dropped my professionalism. Yeah. I'd turn in hungover, kick a few boxes out of the way.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, it's a fairly trite piece of advice, but I do think that, you know, feeling excited and passionate about something has to be the prerequisite to do anything.
Definitely, yeah. And yourself?
I think mine is quite similar, but I would phrase it simply
Slightly better.
Probably, yeah. Follow your instinct.
Yeah.
And that goes with the same as that, because you know in that moment, if something comes your way, if a piece of work comes your way and you think, oh gosh, look at all the people who are attached to it. I should be doing this. Mm-hmm. And then there's something else which might be completely different and small or, you know, whatever. But your heart says, I think I love it. You've got to go with that. You've got to go with that, because that's where your best work will lie. And when you're doing things because you think it's the right thing to do, you're already slightly straitjacketing yourself.
I would also say that in regards to notes as well, actually. I think notes can seem logical, but they don't quite...
They don't capture the heart of what you want.
Or they don't, for some reason, they don't quite speak to you. And I think with the script, largely, we went down lots of sort of cul-de-sacs, which maybe were useful as part of the process. But I think in the end, we came back to roughly where our instincts lay to begin with.
Yeah. No, that's a really important point. I mean, I think a lot of filmmakers as well, they just follow because they think, I should make another film, and they don't care about it. And I think if you do that, then you know how is the audience going to care about it as well?
Yeah, right.
Anyway, it's an absolutely incredible film. You're both incredibly talented, and it made a lot of people laugh, and I hope a lot more will as well. So
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Johnny Sweet and Thea Sha there with our very own Dome Sweet Dome, Dom Lenoir. Are you settled into your apartment now? Are you settled in tonight, this evening? First podcast recording in the apartment. How does that feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty good, yeah. Made the bed, set up the enormous TV. I didn't do the sound system because that's an excruciating process with 5.1.
It was excruciating watching you pull all the cables out. That was excruciating. Are you sat on the swivel chair right now?
I am. I'm doing a bit of a swivel.
Yeah.
Haven't got the Philips Hue set up yet, but got a few other little neon lights everywhere. So.
Oh, making yourself at home, Dom Sweet Dom.
Yeah, I mean Dom means home in Polish, so I'm intrinsically home and not home at all times.
It's the weirdest fact I've ever heard. I didn't know that.
No, you do.
No, I do.
I mean, people go crazy when I go to Poland. It's like,
do they laugh?
Yeah.
Is it kind of Right.
Laugh with excitement and surprise.
And joy, I imagine.
Yes, yeah. Jubilant, sort of childlike laughter. Yeah.
Yes. So that was Thea Sha and Johnny Sweet chatting about Wicked Little Letters, which is out in cinemas now. Do go watch it. That was a lot of fun. Listening to you lot chat away. Very insightful, very interesting, very informative, I would say. What did you learn from this? What did you take away, Dom Lenoir?
I mean, it was a really good chat. I mean, we got to the point where we were sort of talking about, studios and producers being attached, and it actually just sort of made more sense at that point. The film's greenlit. We've sort of talked a bit about that side of things, but it was actually it's the writing and the casting that I found really interesting, and the sort of the difficult bits before we got to that point. So that's kind of that's kind of why we framed the episode in that process. And we did a lot of the development, and the early stuff, and the on-set stuff, and the actors, and all the sort of fun theatre-y, writery stuff.
Well, it is so important, that development stage, and it often I feel gets overlooked a little bit. We kind of seem to rush it sometimes. When we've talked to directors or producers who do work in European countries, the development process is really, it's a long time. Nikolai Arcel, with The Promised Land, making that with Mads Mikkelsen, it was like a 2-year process. From the idea, slowly on that conveyor belt, where sometimes I feel that a lot of projects gets rushed through. We've got the money, or we've got a cast, let's go. And actually the script isn't often worked through enough. So it was really interesting here that it was. And this project was worked on for a long time. And I do feel that development can be overlooked. It's so important. You get one chance, right? And it's the cheapest part of production. It's just when you're sat up front of a laptop pretty much developing a project.
Very true. That was one of the things we really talked about in the episode was, just getting that process right, making sure things are good. I mean, we've had quite a few guests on recently where we have talked about the development process with companies, taking notes, and it's always the same. It's not about compromising your vision or taking every single note. It's just, these people are there because they have experience, and it's getting that kind of expertise on board, and it's valuable if you know sort of how to navigate that world.
And I think it's a mixture of not being too precious but also sticking to your vision. It's a fine line, I think, and I think that's where I feel a lot of directors often fall down, is because you're too hooked on your vision, or you can't navigate those choppy waters. Whereas if you can navigate and placate and take on board some of those notes in your own way and make them feel you've listened to them, because that's what it's all about, this business, right? People want, and in life, people want to be heard. And if you feel like you're heard, you're okay with not going with your decision because someone's listened to you and said, okay, I love that, however you're going to word it. But I think that this industry is a lot about that. It's a lot about keeping people on side, but also trying to steer your vision along the way.
Yeah, that's it. It's always about not compromising to the point where it becomes something that you're not excited by.
It is key. And speaking of which, Dom, expect a letter in the post. It'll be wicked, it'll be little, but the words will mean something.
You can shove that up. Yeah.
Well, listen, on that joyous note, thank you so much for listening. You're all amazing. I wish you well for this week, and I hope that things move forward for you in your filmmaking career, if they haven't already. Dom, I wish you well with settling in.
Thank you.
If you're lucky enough to rise up and do well, it is your duty to
send the effing elevator back down again.
Yes. We will see you all next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye, Dom.
Bye, John.
Bye.